In January, a woman named Swali told an incredible story about being born into the Illuminati and witnessing a young child being sacrificed in the catacombs of the Vatican. Her eyewitness testimony was verified by an Italian woman named Maria, who said she suffered through the same type of gruesome ceremony, telling her story to this reporter only weeks before she reportedly took her own life jumping from the Vatican roof in the early 1980s. Having interviewed both women, the details of the Vatican child sacrifice were remarkably similar right down to the detailed description of the room where the ordeal took place, as well as the details about the particulars of the satanic ceremony. Details of both stories can be found in the Arctic Beacon archives under a 4-part series entitled The Secrets of the Dangerous Illuminati. Although Maria was found dead on the cobblestones of St. Peter's Square, under suspicious circumstances, Swali remains alive, giving an exclusive interview on Greg Szymanski's radio show, The Investigative Journal, in January 2006. However, recently on the word of a reliable source, Swali has come up missing, as all attempts to contact her have turned up empty. Further, her rather detailed website has been taken down and her telephone number disconnected. One of her close friends, who wanted to remain anonymous, fears something serious has happened. With that in mind and in an effort to keep her publicly protected and her story alive, the Arctic Beacon is reprinting a transcript of her lengthy interview from her appearance with Greg on the Investigative Journal radio show of January 17, 2006. Swali's startling comments, as well as the Arctic Beacon series on child sacrificing, should serve as a reminder how the evil intentions of the New World Order knows no bounds or limits.
At some point.
Now, basically when you were growing up, I remember you told me that you were instilled at a young age, you were born to a very wealthy, well-to-do family, you moved back to the States. You were told at a very young age you were special, you were chosen, correct?
Well, they tell everyone in the group that they're special and chosen. And in fact, that's one of the things that made me very cynical when I was older, is that, you will never meet a person who's an Illuminati who's not been told and programmed for years that they're special, they're the only one that can do things for quote-unquote family. But I was told, yes, I would do great things for family one day. And the reason why I guess I can filter some of this with an objective view is I know what my role in the group was, and it was over quite a significant number of other people. So I don't evaluate my role or specialness within the group, not so much by what I was told, but by what I did.
So you reach the age of 12, and then you're told by your parents you're going to an induction ceremony in the Vatican. Can you tell us how that happened and what occurred at that ceremony when you went there?
Okay. This isn't easy to talk about, as you know. When I was 12, I was flown over to Germany, and I was I'll call him the German father's house over there. And there was some preparation for a few days beforehand, and I was told that there would be a very important ceremony, and it was considered a sealing ceremony at that point. And basically, I was told a little bit about what I was expected to do during the ceremony. When we got there, we went to the Vatican. There's underneath the Vatican. There's a large room that I described to you when we talked before. It has 13 catacomb chambers leading into it and what they do is they, as you go down these steps into the room, you can see that it's almost circular, and so they're all around it, and they bring out the mummies from the catacombs, and they set them beside each one, and they say that the spirits of the fathers watching over the ceremony. And during the ceremony, there was a large table in the center of the room. It was on top of a huge golden pentagram, and they had a ceremony there.
Okay. Now, how many other children were with you being inducted into the family or the order, as they call it?
There were 2 other children at that point, and there were several adults too.
Okay.
See, the church also brings in adults to swear their allegiance too. Just so you know, I was told, and I don't know if this is true, but if you're going to rise to a certain position within the Catholic Church hierarchy, you do have to go through that ceremony as well.
Okay, so you're down in this room with your parents weren't present.
No. The German father and the French father were. Yeah.
Okay, and at that point, tell our listeners what you witnessed.
Well, there was a table. It looked like dark glass in the center of the room. I mean, it was made of stone, but it was very shiny and dark and black. And it may have been something like obsidian or onyx. I'm not sure. You know, I'd have to. That's the only time I've seen stone like that. And it had, like, around the corners, it had, like, these gold, I guess, channels that you know, to collect fluids. And little boy was placed in the center of the table and drugged. I think he was drugged because he was very quiet. He didn't move or say anything during the ceremony. This
was a little 3 or 4-year-old boy?
Yes.
Correct?
Yeah.
And then they continued to, go ahead, they continued to do a child sacrifice right in front of you.
They did. Yes. Yeah, I told you about that before. Yeah.
Now, afterwards, quite, what a, you know, unbelievable experience for a youth, I mean, for a 12-year-old. I mean, I just, what went through your mind, I guess, when that happened? I mean,
I was terrified. I mean, I was absolutely horrified. I can't describe the terror you feel when you go through something like that.
And do you remember the words they were saying as this was going on?
The man was in scarlet. He was speaking in Latin. And basically he was saying, you know, please accept the sacrifice, you know, on this day. But then, you know, and then he said the sacrifice will seal the ceremony. And then he did it. Again, I was so terrified that have you ever been in a situation where your heart's racing, but you can't do anything, and so you're just kind of sitting there and you're kind of like fading in and out?
Well, you know, I can remember as a youth being frightened, but I don't think I've ever
no. All right. Well,
gone through anything quite like what you
have.
Yeah,
imagine your heart rate going up to about 220. You can't move, so you're kind of shaking, but trying like not to show it. Mm-hmm. And it, I mean, it was horrible. And I was keep thinking inside, I can't wait it's over. I can't wait. I mean, you don't say this inside. You're just kind of saying over and over, I can't wait till it's over. I can't wait till it's over. I can't wait till it's over. Afterwards, the man in scarlet, he had a huge golden ring on his hand, and he came over to the center of the room, and he had each of the people that were swearing that day. I had to go forward and kneel before him and kiss his ring and swear my allegiance to the new order, to the new world order, until my death.
Now, at that point, you are escorted out.
Yes. Yeah. After the ceremony was all over. I mean, the other people also did theirs as well. You know, they had to swear their allegiance too.
And they were what, the same age? They were the same age as you?
The two children were, but there were also 3 adults that went forward and did the same. And afterwards, we were told, may the same to you or worse occur should you ever break this oath.
So it's basically, imagine at that age, and you weren't really prepped for this, were you? I mean, you were told there was a ceremony, but nothing, you didn't expect anything like this, from what I gathered talking to you.
It was very difficult to go through, just because the sense of horrific oppression down there, too, was the worst. I mean, I've gone through some ceremonies in my life in the Illuminati. You do go through them. But I have to say that in my experience, this was the worst, just because I can't explain the amount of darkness in a room like that, just of pure evil. And unless you've ever been in seen oppression, I mean, it's just horrible. It wasn't just what happened, but just, I mean, the oppression. And I'm a Christian now, and I know the difference now between when there's evil present, oppression, or when God's love is present and joy and peace, which is the exact opposite of what was in that room.